And welcome back to another episode of Scoundrels, Inc., where we're talking about
what we want to see out of Star Wars Episode 9, the forthcoming...
Well, that's not how exactly
unreleased.
This is going to work. It's the Rise of Skywalker.
Wait, something's wrong with this pic. There's too many people here. How many
You're
people
telling
here?
me.
It's just people.
It's just, there's more.
There's more.
Us. There's more of us.
Yeah, we didn't
this
do that
episode.
cold opening, Frank.
Forgot to.
Oh,
do that.
yeah, that's right. We've been sitting here for like
There's
25
more of us,
minutes.
Frank.
We didn't say one word about it.
There's more of us.
Well, there we are.
Frank, I've got bad news for you. You have his power. You're a Palpatine. Is that the worst line of dialogue in Star Wars history?
It's
They
pretty
should have
bad.
had. They should have had Oprah throwing out. You're a Palpatine.
I
You're a
think-
Palpatine.
I think Rey Skywalker is a worse delivered line. I have no problem with the line in general.
I don't have a problem with the delivery.
It's
I don't like the line. I think how amazing would it have been if she had just said, just Rey.
Well, we are off to the races, folks.
yeah. All right. Hey, so this is going to be a little bit different format episode here. I'm going to go ahead and steal the reins from
Go
you here.
and do it.
But you don't want to hear us wax poetically about this movie for 3 hours. We don't want to wax poetically about this movie for 3 hours. I'm pretty sure we're all more or less on the same page with this movie. We're about lukewarm.
How about Leia?
I'll
Warm,
say I'm
to be honest.
Stop it, Brandon.
Unless
Stop
Kevin wants to break the news that he thinks this is a groundbreaking finish to the Star Wars saga.
I'm disappointed that Carrie Fisher died because of many reasons.
Way to bring us down, Kevin.
But had she lived, I think that the Duel of the Fates script would have been the one to be produced. I think that was an impossible script to make with Carrie Fisher died. So what they did was make do with what they could have. I would have recast Leia.
I'm gonna give you a crazy take on that too.
Oh, okay.
I think this movie where Carrie Fisher's still alive would have been 10 times better.
Way better because it was supposed to be her movie. The first movie was Han's, second movie was Luke's, third movie was going to be hers. The Duel of the Fates script is fantastic if you've not read it. I'm not saying that it's better than what we got. Like I think it is. But you don't know if it would have been a better movie. We'll never know that in practice. But with a Carrie Fisher or an actress portraying Leia, such as Meryl Streep, who's like one of her best friends, or someone that could have done it, not AI or anything like that. I think that the story of Episode 9 was hinging on her, and because I was familiar with the deleted scenes, never underestimate a droid. I remember that deleted scene from the Blu-ray. So when you're in the theater and you see her saying again as an editor, I'm just like, oh, we're repurposing words and sentences, and I get why they did it.
It
They
looks
told us
good.
they told us.
No, I know they
weren't
weren't trying to hide it, but
So I
can't
disagree, Brandon. I don't think it looks good.
I mean,
You can tell. You can tell.
I'll say, like, as far as literally like rotoscoping her out of a deleted scene and putting her in this movie, it looks as good as it could look.
But I don't know. I think granted we're dealing with a different subject matter and we're dealing with a different whole different situation here. But like I think Tarkin and Leia look better in Rogue One than they do in Rise. You know.
Yeah, and you can tell.
Is Tarkin in Rise?
I hate Rogue One.
I hate to bring KOTOR into it, but like when I would always have to work around the character names or the characters that have already said words, you can tell that they wrote a scene with Rey and her that were literally just using whatever lines they can use from that was already pre-recorded. So it's blatantly obvious. Now, that said, it's not an easy position to put anyone in. No. So I think JJ tried his best. I know that it was much more of a fan service movie, so those moments actually I really liked. I had fun at the theater, but every time that the Leia scenes popped up, it was just so obvious to me. And I think that either a recasting or what my argument would have been is just you got to kill her off in the crawl. You got to do what maybe Black Panther, Wakanda Forever did. Or to show.
I don't think it's a fan service movie because I didn't feel service.
I was going to say those exact words. I'm like, that's funny. I don't feel service.
And lastly, I think that if you ask Carrie Fisher herself, hey, Leia's going to take a back seat now because you didn't live. She would be like, no, dude, cast someone. I don't care. She'd be like, fuck you, cast someone. So that said, I'm kind of the same with you guys. Like, I see the wasted potential. I mean, I didn't get to weigh in on any of the sequel movies in this saga rewatch, but I really loved The Force Awakens, and I loved what possibilities it set up. and I respected The Last Jedi, and I would be hot on sometimes, cold on others. One time I watched it, and I remember coming away, and I might have been drunk or high, but I was like, that is the most powerful Jedi Force we've ever seen. What Luke did is the most insane thing ever, broadcasting from across the galaxy and all of that. So, like, sometimes I'm blown away with it, but other times when he's tossing the saber, so it was like I went from a high from The Force Awakens to, like, sometimes I'm a high on The Last Jedi, sometimes I'm low, but, like, right in the middle. And The Rise of Skywalker, to me, I almost wish I didn't read the Duel of the Fates script, because I liked it a little better having not knowing that other script existed. And it's just an unfortunate situation, and that's what life. Well, and I think JJ did the best of what he could have done.
Sure.
It's just not executed entirely perfectly.
Speaking to the Duel of Fates script, though, I think most people who were down on Rise of Skywalker in some form or fashion were automatically going to like it because it had Leia. Like, you could do, like, if you could do all that stuff, I think you said it too, Sean. Like, if this movie, this version, JJ had Leia, then this movie probably comes out a little bit better than how it was received. And I agree with that.
And what I will say about Duel of the Fates, right? Like, we don't know, and even Kevin, you said, like, we don't know what the final product would have been.
Could have been a shitty movie too.
Because like,
that wasn't even like the final draft of Duel
if
of
you
Fates.
tell
it was
me
like one of the first two, I guess, or something.
Right, but if you tell me a lot of the concepts in Rise, I probably love them on paper. This has some shots. This movie has some shots that I'm blown away by, or that, like, I talk about there's a scene in Kenobi that I say, this is a scene I've always wanted to see, right? Rey floating in lotus position with the rocks around her.
Very cool.
Like, what a fucking great way to introduce Rey in this film. But my biggest problem with this film is there's so much in it. I feel the same way with the Duel of the Fates script. There's almost there's a simplicity about Force Awakens, about A New Hope, about Empire, and Attack of the Clones. All those movies all have a simplicity about them that this movie and Phantom. This movie does not have that.
It's more like Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi had a lot going on too.
But that's what I was about to say was this has way more than Return of the Jedi.
I feel like it needed to be 30 minutes longer.
Yeah, because Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith are both very, very full in the same way this film is, but they're not. There's not nearly as much going on here. I mean, some of your big set pieces of this film are not given their due because it feels rushed. By the time you get to the end of this movie, it feels like we don't have any more time left to tell this story, right?
Perfect example is Mustafar. Like, by the time you realize he was on Mustafar, it's already gone and switched over.
You don't even need to show that.
Well, shout out to my homeboy Brandon Twig, who did the Kenobi edit with me. He did a fan edit of the Rise of Skywalker, which almost cost me probably a championship in the Schmodown because I watched that almost exclusively. And at the end, he added that one part. I can get to it later with all the Force skills. But one of the things he did with Mustafar is he took a fan film where it was Kylo Ren versus Vader in the snow. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It's actually really well produced. Like, it looks legit. Mm-hmm. And he intercut that with Kylo Ren in Mustafar in the beginning. And so he was taking an element that was from the Duel of Fate script, how Vader and him dueled in a vision. If you haven't read the script, there you go. And he incorporated that into his cut, and he did it pretty well. He like manipulated it to where like all of a sudden Mustafar became this snowy field where he was fighting with Vader, and it was like when you spend a little more time on Mustafar, and then he finally grabs that the Wayfinder, you feel earned, right? And this one, it was just like he's killing a bunch of people. You don't even know who they are, and then all of a sudden he has the Wayfinder. There's dead stormtroopers everywhere.
The first line of dialogue in this movie is by Palpatine. He says, "At last."
Yeah.
And it takes a minute to get there.
Well, we talked
Probably
about
like
this
7 minutes or something like that.
We talked about this with the other two sequel films that they're all three of this. People give Force Awakens shit for this, that it's a retelling of A New Hope. All three of these films are retellings of the original trilogy. There's nothing inherently wrong about that. The problem is the parts that this film is paying homage to, it does in such a way that's like, man, I just wish it was executed better.
Yeah, well, like even like at the end of this movie when they cut to the planets of them of like the Star Destroyers falling out of the sky.
Fucking half-assed.
Yeah, it does. It's like wow, that was so much better in Return of the Jedi. This I feel nothing.
Okay, Brandon, you keep taking the words right out of my mouth. When I finished,
Do you guys want to sit next to me?
yeah, you know what? You guys, you guys.
You guys want to hold
When I
hands
finished,
and hug
when
each
I
other?
finished this movie last night, I that was the first thought out of my mouth was I feel nothing for this film. I'm not angry at it. I don't hate it. I feel parts that should give me joy and excitement. I feel nothing. I'll tell you the one scene I feel something at is when Rey returns to Octo and Luke is kind of giving her that pep talk.
Oh, I thought it was when Poe would ignite his flashlight in the cave.
No, that's
I
good,
do
though.
like
Even
that.
then,
I
like
like that.
for
It's
me,
pretty
like
funny.
when I saw this in the theaters, I felt like nothing. When Luke lifts the X-wing out of the ocean,
Oh, I felt something there.
nothing.
I did feel.
I was like,
something.
That's my
wow,
favorite.
this was great in Empire.
Well, my
They
original-
were playing the hits.
Wait,
It
can
was an
I-
all-star
let me-
game.
Let me ask, since you're talking about both of you feeling anything, I know that I felt a surge of like I was overwhelmed with some emotion when Rey talks to Leia as master. Like to me, like I was like that hit
That's
pretty
cool.
hard. For
That's
me.
a cool aspect. There's a lot of
there's
cool stuff.
on my first watch like
Yeah.
that, like Leia's death, that I feel something.
I still even Leia's that still when I watch.
There
it.
is there
I-
is stuff
the-
in this movie that I love, and I'm like, wow, like that's
the music.
awesome.
The music was when John Williams was interviewed. Who, by the way, he plays a character in the movie
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
Barker.
Matresse.
Matresse, which is maestro. It's an anagram of maestro. When John Williams scored the movie, he had an interview and he was like, "Oh, I'm playing the hits," and he does. Like when they
really do,
When
yeah.
Poe is talking to Zori Bliss on the rooftop, that's like they're playing the song from Attack of the Clones.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
And so it does get me. Like I actually felt something. So I can like a movie and it could be mediocre. Or just it wasn't my favorite, and I felt something. But like the ending when the trio hug each other,
Yeah.
that gets me goosebumps
Dairy.
there because we know what those actors kind of went through, and especially like their struggles and like with John Boyega and like fans and like the struggles they had with even the filmmakers, where Boyega probably wasn't happy with his role in the third movie, and they're hugging like it represents like these three were they stuck it together, and like the music there when Rey lands, and I liked all of that. So I did feel something at the end, but I didn't. Did I feel as much as Return of the Jedi or Revenge? No. Definitely not.
It's like we all wanted Finn to be a Jedi, and every time he's like, "I'm about to be a Jedi," and then they go, "Shh."
Duel of the Fates
We're
had
doing
Finn.
other things
It
right
feels-
now.
Duel of the Fates had Finn leading an underground resistance at the depths of Coruscant in this huge epic
And it actually had
battle.
Rose as a character, which is one of my big complaints about
Yeah.
this movie.
Oh, you're
Well-
the friend zone. Hey, you're gonna stay here and
Hey,
design
Rose,
shit.
you want to come on the adventure with us? No, sorry. Chris Terrio and JJ, they wrote a reason for me to stay on this.
Yeah,
movie.
I gotta look at these blueprints.
I mean, Leia wants me to look at blueprints.
Yeah,
they did her wrong. That sucked.
They cut half of mine and Billy Lord's lines so that we could have Beaumont Kin in this movie.
Yeah.
I'll be like, wow, that would have been great if Rose said it, but I'm
talk,
glad
talk
Dominic
about
Monaghan said it.
enabling, like all of the bullies too, that like bullied Kelly
Yeah,
Marie Tran
it's
off the
enabling.
internet.
That's the thing. It's
you
like
you enabled the
you're
fans.
giving the bullies on Reddit what they wanted.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Out of spite, I would have been like, you know what? Screw it. Rose is a freaking Jedi now.
This is the most,
Eat my butt.
This is the most animated we've seen that
He's
man
heated.
this entire
He's fired
fucking
up.
podcast.
Yeah, he's
Can I?
heated.
Can I? I'm gonna bring it back for a minute. Okay, Kevin, you talk about
Use your hatred.
you talk about enabling the fans and their shitty ways.
Sorry.
How do you guys feel about the? There's one scene that I remember has caused quite a stir.
Restore the Snyder cut.
Yeah, when you know what when Yoda
I feel like
ri-
we're peaking a little. Sorry.
Restore the
sure.
Trevorrow cut.
when Yoda rises from the ashes of the Death Star and says, "Restore the Snyder cut, you must." yeah, I thought that was a weird inclusion.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to Yoda, Snyder cut was pretty good.
But I will, before you finish, I will because the Yoda lifting the X-wing out of the swamp in Empire, I mentioned it. Like that's my favorite minutes of Star Wars ever. So when they paid homage to that, that got me, and it was the same
just
music.
It was just like a
Loved it.
cheap imitation.
When they played Omatress to it.
Yeah.
It was a cheap imitation, just like the ending of Return of the Jedi. I will say the Holdo maneuver cutting through that Star Destroyer above Endor was pretty
Actually, I want
sick.
to talk about that real point.
That was
Well,
cool.
wait, let
that
him
point
finish his
real
one
quick.
point though. You
Yeah,
were
so
saying,
I want
sorry.
to ask about the scene where Luke catches the saber. and says a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect.
Good catch.
Yeah,
I think it's a horribly delivered line. I'm like, was he drunk?
Oh, it's funny you say that
And
because
Jedi's weapon deserves more respect.
I see that.
I didn't realize you hated this movie.
Man,
Yeah, Brandon.
You're
Brandon,
not lukewarm on
I
this
think
movie,
Mark
bro.
Hamill kind of like phoned it in this one after giving like what could have been an Oscar-worthy performance in The Last Jedi. I don't know
You know
what
what?
happened
I
between
don't-
movies.
I think you're.
Completely
You see
I
that
think you're
clip
right.
of the Last Jedi interview with Luke where he said he had to pretend like he wasn't Luke Skywalker. He was another
I think
character.
that could be interpreted in different ways.
I
I
think
don't
you're
know about
right.
that.
I think you're right, Brandon. But I think Patrick Willems delivers a great performance as Bulio. So
Win the war.
I do love that line.
no, okay. So when he catches
Yeah.
the saber, says the Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. A lot of people see that as a dig at the Last Jedi.
I
I don't think so. That's just growth of Luke.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
character development.
yeah, I'll say you can Last Jedi haters will definitely read it that way, and I can get why they would read it that way.
But it's not.
But that's because the haters are missing the point
Of
of
Last
Luke's
Jedi.
arc at the end of
And
Last
that-
Jedi, and Luke pretty much confirms what we all witness his character arc.
Yeah.
and he just says it out loud in this part of.
It's
the
like
movie.
Laura
So,
Santeca
okay.
saying this will begin to make things right. That wasn't a dig on the prequels. That was just a line. That wasn't him, scolding George Lucas. Now Disney has it. This will begin to make things right, which a lot of people thought that
I mean, I
first
think
line was a dig on
there
George
is something
Lucas.
to be said about did they write it that way because
No.
they were like, well, yeah, I guess they could, but oh well. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I mean,
I will say there are elements of this moment in this scene with Luke and Rey on the island I do really love when he says, "You have everything you need," which mimics what Leia said at the end of
Yeah.
The Last Jedi. I really loved that.
yeah.
That's just a pale imitation.
Pale imitation of the Last
Pale
Jedi.
imitation.
Touche, sir.
Yeah,
I love that line in The Last Jedi. And there's other good lines too.
I also wanted to bring up. I don't know why in like one of those briefings. Where what's his name says, "Oh, let's do some hold maneuvers, do some real damage."
I laughed.
I don't even know why they brought that up.
I don't know, but it was pretty
Why would you
funny.
even
I
bring
do.
that up?
I do know why.
Because they want to address the practicality.
Yeah, I think they
of
want to
it.
address
Yeah,
the
but guess what? I
practicality.
was not thinking about. They better start doing
Because
80 hold
that was a
maneuvers.
criticism after The Last Jedi. It's like, why don't they just do that all the time? then?
Why don't they just put a bunch of droid brains?
They should have done that with the Death Star.
Yeah, why don't they just put droid brains in?
I just don't think they need to address it like that. Like that's something you can just put in a book.
I don't know.
don't need it in
I
a
rewatched
movie.
this movie for this episode, and I will say, like, it's kind of growing on me. There's parts of it that I do love. There's parts of it that are like hitting me at like a different point in my life that I did get emotional watching certain scenes in this movie. But I laughed out loud when he said that. I don't know why. It was just funny. Like, let's just do some hold on maneuvers on him. We'll try some real damage. It's like,
Yeah, I like that. That line to me was
It's a 1 in a million
Yeah.
shot, but then at the end of the movie, you see someone that
Yeah.
did that.
I took that line as a dig
like,
at the
oh, okay.
fans.
in my head canon, it was an Ewok that did that.
You've hit the nail on the head with this film, right? This film doesn't know what it wants, and I think that's part of the problem, right? This film's
No,
trying.
I think it does, but it just doesn't know how to do it very well.
I think that's the same.
Is it the same?
It's the same end result.
I get okay, sure. Yeah, same end result. Yes.
Yeah.
No, okay.
So,
Shout out to Twig's cut 2. He makes Rey not a Palpatine.
Hey.
He Frankenbites it where he doesn't. He just says, "No, you are a nobody," and they flash back
You have
to
his
where she's
power.
like, "No," and right that part.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
And he puts lightning coming out of her fingertips, and that's what she ends up. She killed her parents.
I can't.
Yeah,
oh
she's
my
like, no,
God.
and right that no, and then the lightning comes out of her fingertips.
Oh, so
And
then-
then Luke's plot was like,
it's interpreted that she killed her parents, right?
So
then
a-
when she's like talking about Rey, remember he's like, he killed my parents, I'm gonna kill him. She says he Frankenbites. She's like, I killed my parents, and he told me now I'm gonna kill him or whatever. And I'm like, damn, those are some choices. But I would almost lose a Schmodown match because he put.
That's
I
a
was
very-
convinced he put Ghost Ben at the end with Luke and Leia. And
he should have been
and
there.
I thought it was in there. And if there was ever a question where they're like, which ghosts appeared at the end, I would have said 100% because I ended up watching Twig's version the whole time. So
Can you send
Shout out
me,
to Twig.
Can you send me a
The
better cut of this movie?
yeah, and I mean, he also did the one thing I did tell him though. I'm like, he cut out his other idea was he cut out Lando out of Pasana because he's like that's a little too convenient.
No, it's
And
great.
again, and again,
Otherwise,
I
he
would've-
just shows up out of nowhere at the end.
That's the thing. He would have shown
We
up.
had each other. Where the hell did you come
But
from?
exactly, that was his point. He thought that was a great intro to Lando, which again,
You've been here the whole time?
I would definitely want a version with Lando because I was like, if they would have asked who says I have a bad feeling about this, and I was only watching Twigs, I'd be like, no one, right? So I was like, you almost made me lose a match.
No, you know what? It was Claude.
But
Claude
said
said
it. But his reasoning was they're at their very depths, right? And then if all of a sudden, his point was like, where did you come out of from nowhere? But like again, it's not out of the blue that he would show up to where the Resistance were calling everybody. And so when Poe's at like, man, what are we gonna do at their lowest? Then all of a sudden, here comes Lando, a hero of the rebellion, that's like, hey, we had each other. Let's all do this together. And then
why did you become Slice the
Why were you?
I had Adrian.
And then the main thing about his cut is
I had Apollo.
He did that Force Ghost thing at the end. Remember when she's like, "I am all the Jedi," and there's footage of like Alec Guinness with Hayden Christensen and Yoda and all the Jedi. He has that in the cut too. And I used to joke with him, "Could you just make me a version of the movie with just the Vader Kylo match in the beginning and then the ghosts at the end?" And he's like, "No, you got to take it or leave it."
I want.
I'll show you guys the cut. It's good.
I'll tell you what I was thinking this when I was watching the film was I want to have, as Star Wars canon gets bigger, I want that last scene to include more and more Jedi. Like I want
special edition.
Like add Cal in there.
Grogu.
Add Grogu once
It
Grogu
just, but it
talks.
just like this. You have to read it on
Just
subtitle.
the little coos.
I saw a hot take. Mace Windu is the one who saved Grogu from Order 66.
Oh, I think that's been going around for a little while.
Anyways, back to the movie. Yeah.
Like as he's falling, he catches Grogu.
Well, no, I was it last week? I said Mace and Admiral Akbar hanging out after they get thrown out windows.
Yeah.
Admiral Apgar fucks, by the way. Akbar?
Akbar
He
fucks.
fucks.
Junior.
Because he had a son.
Aftab, yeah.
Aftab,
and
he fucks, dude.
And it's his bastard son, meaning he just
Isn't that,
He was
maybe
like,
that's just
this
their
is not a
culture.
trap. I'm not going to marry you. I have a kid. You're not a trap.
Well, no, it's
That's what his wife said.
They Aftab
It's a trap. No.
Aftab grew up not knowing his father. Also, how fucked up does okay. I'm doing the thing where I start a sentence and
I'm trying to
stop
figure out what
sentence.
we're talking about.
I don't know.
We're all over the place.
We're all over the place.
Kind of like this movie.
I have lots of thoughts
That's
and feelings.
the part of this movie. This movie introduces a lot of new characters.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go around. I want everyone to say who your favorite new character is, because I think this movie introduces more new characters than any other Star Wars.
Perfect
movie.
time to do it.
aside from A New Hope, where everybody was literally new.
All right.
No, I disagree.
You think there are more? Well,
I
I'm
think
talking
there's-
every character
I
in The
think
New
there's-
Hope was the first
okay,
time you saw
but
it.
there's more characters in this film with speaking lines.
I think. Yeah, I was
Then A
kind of
New Hope,
noticing that
period.
on this recent rewatch. I was like, "Oh, you're a back. You're talking.
You
you're
get a role,
talking.
you get a
and-
role.
Especially in the Resistance.
Because Dr. Colonia's
Well, it's
wife.
because the Rise of Skywalker Discord had an offer to give free roles to anybody who joins the
Jesus.
Discord
So-
and Patreon.
So let's start. Brandon, who's your favorite new
I
character?
think that's your.
Hello,
I,
Babu
That's my move, dude.
You're going with Babu Frick.
Of course, you gotta go.
course.
there.
Okay.
Oh, Babu.
So he's
Colin's Trevorrow script did not have Babu Frick in it.
So
That I will
already,
say.
Brandon already picked Babu, so you guys got to pick a new character.
I would pick TZ1719. Is that Jana? I'm
Jana?
retired. Jana.
Jana?
Yeah. Jana. Yeah, I liked her. I think that would have been cool if that was more of the Rose Tico part, alongside of it. If you could, like, she had a bigger role in the other
That was
script.
great when they when they introduced Lando's maybe daughter and then just like did nothing with it.
But I do think that her character
about
is
that
like,
later.
I liked how they agree, like that she kind of had that same, like it was something that like Finn has not met a lot of people that had his upbringing. So when he could finally meet someone that like went through the same ordeal and that made the same choices that he did, that like they chose at the Battle of Ancion, Battle of Ancion or no, Battle of
Ansett Island.
Ansett Island.
Schmodown.
I'm retired. Yeah, and you could see, I thought that was good acting by John Boyega when he looks and he realizes like, oh my God, there is someone else like me, and there's another group of people like me that all made those same choices. Let's go ride these space horses on top of a Star Destroyer and to celebrate.
I like Pride.
You like
General Pride. General Pride.
the
the
Legent General.
Richard,
As I served you in the old wars.
he said he based his performance off of Grand Moff Tarkin. So
Oh,
he
of
was
course.
a fan of the OG movies.
No, he was great in that role. I loved him.
I like Legion General Pride.
What about you?
You guys picked all the good ones. Hold on.
It would have been nice to see.
I did
Dio.
like Bulio. I did like Bulio.
Thank you.
It would have been nice to see Pride
didn't
in
either
like
'cause it
the
sounded like
other
JJ too
movies to like
Yeah.
and like maybe like in the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi he's like disgruntled that
Brandon, what you're asking is it'd be nice if there was a plan. That's what you're
well
saying.
there was a plan but then they threw it out the window when they decided they didn't like Colin Trevorrow anymore.
That's the thing. There wasn't a plan.
I have a
There
plan.
was. They planned it
attack.
Legit, there was not a plan.
there
When
was.
They were
They
shooting
wrote 3
the-
movies.
12% of a
That
plan.
was the plan.
Hold on. There was not a plan. There was not an outline. When they were writing The Force Awakens, they did not know what the third movie was going to be yet. They didn't. They were literally. You could hear. There's an interview where Kathleen Kennedy or someone said they were passing the baton from one filmmaker to the next.
I think what Brandon
But
said
they were all
is the
building
plan,
off of each other.
The plan was these 3 people are going to write separate scripts, whereas we're saying we wish the plan was we wish there was one person overseeing.
Well, they should say
But
you
I
write
mean,
these 3
all of
scripts,
them,
but this
you
is
know.
the story, and you got to follow this to get.
It was still planned in the sense they all built off one another. They all took their time. Like or hate the Duel of the Fates script, it at least like made very logical sense as the next continuation of the story.
Yeah.
Where there's stuff in the Rise of Skywalker where you're like, yeah, they wrote that in 6 weeks.
Yeah. There's a
Just
lot.
kidding. We're gonna undo this.
Well, and there's a. Okay, so I need to give my favorite character, and it is.
Thank you.
No, it's not Dio.
Oh, I do
it's
like
not
Dio.
I don't like. Dio. You know I don't like. Droids.
No, thank you. No,
It
thank you.
is.
Sounds too much like JJ.
I just had an answer, and then I spaced on it.
Space Wars.
Oh, it's Claude.
Claude.
Clearly.
Is he in the? Oh yeah.
He's in the, yeah, he's
It's
in the
not
beginning.
that one guy that goes, okay. He's my
Oh,
second
that
favorite.
guy's pretty good. Okay.
Oh yeah, who was that? Anyways,
I want to say like Zori Bliss feels like she's in a different movie. She
don't
feels
know.
like she's
I
in a
liked
different
her.
series.
I liked her.
I liked her, but I don't like how she said, "Hey, come, you could come with me." And then later, when Poe's like, "What's up? Let's fuck," and she's like, "No."
I mean,
Like, you
I
just
don't.
offered
I don't
to, like,
mind her.
run away with her.
It is weird though. 'cause
well,
she,
you just made the distinction there though. She said you can come with me, not get with
Yeah,
me.
she's the
Come
first
on,
one
read
that
it. Come
says
on.
there's more of us. It almost feels like it's like, all right, Lando, we're about to fly to Exegol. Make sure you tell Poe that there's more of us. He'll really like that.
I really like the unnamed gunner on the Falcon.
Great flying, Lando.
is my new favorite character.
That's great.
I gotta say, when I watched the movie for
the
the first time, I was like, "Oh my God, Wedge!" And then I'm never gonna see him again. That was less than a second.
Yeah,
Oh
I think
So,
he did it from his bedroom with a green screen.
No, he's in the final like celebration on.
probably see the top of his head.
Yeah,
off in the
he
corner.
gives someone a hug.
Why
Well,
would they not
I
cut
was-
back to him a few
so-
more times, like shooting down TIE fighters?
So
that would have been sick as hell.
You're approaching my biggest problem with this movie.
Is that Duel of the Fates had Chewie inside an X-wing, and that would have been rad?
Oh man, that'd
And
be
why didn't I'm doing all the greatest hits? Where was Duel of the Fates in this movie?
Yeah.
I would have stood up and applauded if they played it
So
in that
I wanted to
lightsaber
see.
fight.
I wanted to see at the end of Return of the Jedi, you've got Lando and Wedge both kind of like standing to the side.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
that.
I wanted to see in the last shot Lando and Wedge standing. To the side.
Oh, that would have been fun.
And I because when they zoom out from the hug, whatever, like it's the shot from Return of the Jedi with 3PO and R2 to the side, and this time it's 3PO, R2, BB-8, and Dio because we had to introduce Dio in this movie for some fucking reason. R2 still doesn't get any fucking credit in this movie.
Yeah, Archie was really sidelined,
Agreed.
but I think it was
Not
it
as
was,
sidelined
it
as
was,
Rose.
It was poetic that he was.
Poetic?
Poetic.
It was poetic that
Yeah,
Archie.
he took
I'm
BB-8's
gonna-
job
I'm
in
gonna
Poe's
miss you,
X-wing.
Kevin.
I'm gonna miss you.
What was that about? R2 was
Yeah.
in Poe's X-wing, not BB-8.
I like that, actually. I'm okay with that. I think that's a fitting spot for R2 to be. If anything, that's the one time I felt like R2 was used well.
He was BB-8 was demoted.
Well, what I was gonna say was
Where's B2EMO?
what I was gonna say was
Dead.
that
Hopefully.
what I was gonna
Looking for
I was gonna-
Marva.
what I was gonna say is that I thought
Should
it
we
was
cut off Frank
poetic.
again?
What I thought I was gonna say, what I thought I was gonna say. Was
What were you
that-
thinking you were gonna say?
I don't know anymore. So I don't know. I thought it was poetic that what do you call it? Archie was there when Leia died because
Yeah.
Yes.
That was good.
also there when Padme died. And I was like, when Leia
there
died.
was when Leia
And
was
I was
born.
like, damn, like
There-
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I
He
did.
was there
So
when
like I
Luke-
kind of got like why R2 might have been sidelined in this movie per se because of they wanted to line that up with Leia passing. But yeah, it was kind of like, dang man, I kind of miss R2 because they brought 3PO along for this whole freaking movie.
And this dude,
man, 3PO was the best.
3PO's best movie.
So
I'm glad
outside
they
of
highlighted
Empire,
him.
yeah, outside of Empire,
I think that's one of the selling points about this movie is it's 3PO's fucking
The
time to
trailer
shine.
line, taking one last look at my friends. That's nice.
I do want to say something about though the way they approach the 3PO stuff like that, because I don't even think they needed to do any of that setup. You're my best friend, R2. Just have him be like, oh yeah, this might be the wipe, and all right, but then not even like, because they really set it up in a way that doesn't have any stakes at all.
The big thing they fuck up is they have before they erase his memory, someone says, doesn't R2 back up your memory?
Yeah.
Which to me like goes, oh, well.
I think it would have been better if he never got restored. I think that would have been been
I'm
epic
okay with
and
him
like
getting
a
restored.
Crazy.
The shot of him talking to R2 and he's like, you want to do what?
Well,
I do like that he says,
don't know you.
I love it when he says, I think I'd remember having a best friend, because that's like the first time like we hear R2 saying something nice to him that I can recall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like normally he's like busting his chops.
I just think they probably could have done it in a way where C-3PO was like, well, yeah, R2 could back up my memory, but it's not really reliable. And do we want to take this chance of wiping my mind and so I can read you the hidden language or whatever? And I think you could have had the stakes that way. And then at the end of the movie, it's like, R2, can you restore his memory? And then it's like, will he or won't he? And then he does, and you're like, okay, cool, fine, he did.
It'd be
But
funny
like,
if he restored only the prequel memories.
Oh, like
R2, did you hear Anakin just killed a bunch of younglings?
oh boy.
Like he only backed up his iCloud right before 30 or 20 BBY or whatever.
yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I think 3PO fucking shines in this movie. Again, Maz is used weird in this film.
yeah.
Um,
And she's an animatronic.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, for some reason,
like,
it looked
oh,
weird.
you
It looked different.
decided this now?
Normally, I'm all for practical effects, but like for some reason, she looks worse practically.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I on a ride?
remember-
She's
remember-
like, Leia has to go.
Dude, not to rumor monger.
It's the only
here.
way she can reach Ben. is through
Someone
the
had
Force.
mentioned that Lupita Nyong'o's role was greatly reduced, and I'm here saying it, so it could be completely off. That she didn't get along with Daisy Ridley in The Force Awakens, and that's why that they lessened her role in the subsequent two movies.
she's just got to go and record voice.
Well,
or,
I don't
Well,
know.
no, she was there in
She
Force
did
Awakens. She
full-
was there
Well, I
with
mean,
like
I'm
the.
just, sure, but like,
But
for
not
this
in the
one,
other two.
But for this one, you could have just been like, "Hey, go in this booth, say these lines."
That's what they
please.
did because they had an animatronic.
Yeah.
She wasn't even there. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, but okay. Well, in terms of like why she wasn't a CG character, I'm like, you introduced her as a CG character.
You should have
Why
kept
just-
this CG.
Well,
Because they didn't
remember,
want her on set
they
because her and
reversed-
Daisy
it's a
Ridley had a
reverse
cat
Yoda.
fight.
So I don't know if you guys
Reverse
remember.
Yoda.
I don't know if you guys
Reverse
remember.
Yoda in
She
Phantom Menace.
before Last Jedi came out, she did an interview, and they asked, and they were already done shooting Last Jedi, and they asked her how was filming Last Jedi. She says, I don't know, I haven't done it yet, because they hadn't. She was put back in reshoots.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. I
So
don't know.
There's
I don't
something
even remember
going
where
on
I
there.
heard it.
But also with the animatronics looking better thing, remember we've replaced animatronic Yoda in the prequels with CG Yoda because animatronic Yoda looks so bad.
Did you
I
guys,
didn't
by the
think it
way,
looked that bad enough to replace some CG.
I
wise,
do.
but
I do.
I don't know. I do say
I agree.
I'm so used to, like I said before, I'm so used to his facial expressions as a puppet in the Phantom Menace when he goes everything. It doesn't hit as well with the CGI. I'm sorry.
When I watch it with CGI,
False.
I forget that that's the addition because it looks right to me.
Well,
agreed.
you're
yeah,
wrong.
I mean, like I think it looks good, but I'm like, I don't. Why'd you have to?
But Maz looks
fine,
bad.
it's fine.
I feel like I'm on Rise of the Resistance, and I've never been on Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, you should.
But that's
It's
what
great.
I feel like I'm watching. I'm like, I'm on a ride. Look, it's Maz.
It's very much. This movie is very much ride oriented, especially when you get to
The
that
Ride of
chase on Pisana.
Skywalker.
The ride of
Listen.
and when you get on Pisana and there's that chase, I'm just like,
Yeah,
that's
J.J.
very
Abrams is like, all right, we're closing out a
amusement
9-chapter saga. Let's take a break for this giant festival that no one is ever going to care about.
I like the I think the festival would be better. Okay, the festival's like one of the
God
first.
help the people that are watching or listening to this. I don't know how you're keeping.
I'm
this
being a
all
little
straight.
hard on the festival. It's not bad.
The problem with the festival
I got gripes.
is Poe says we have to be careful. There's always stormtroopers hiding in crowds like this. Since when? Why? Where'd they come from? What are they doing on this random ass planet? Like, it's all these things that are nonsensical that all of a sudden, the First Order is in
Since
control.
they've taken over the galaxy, bro.
I just don't see that as a result of anything. They're not the First Order and the Resistance. The thing I like,
Kylo moved really quick as
I
Supreme
know,
Leader, man. He's
but
got
the thing
pieces all over
I
the board.
find so interesting about the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi, and part of this is the fault of the Last Jedi because the Last Jedi doesn't allow any time for anything to happen, right? If you look at the other two trilogies, there's time for things to escalate between movies.
Time
right?
jumps. Yeah.
And that's required to tell the type of story they're trying to tell. The thing that's so interesting going into Rise of Skywalker, before we have the movie that we have, it's like, okay, these are two small forces and they are fighting a legacy war from their forefathers and their parents and the generations before them, but the galaxy at large is really not involved. Right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
It's just like two warring gangs.
right, it's like it's two paramilitary factions that have power and have legitimacy, but there's I don't know. It just
I will say, in terms of time jumping between movies, the way The Force Awakens ends really begs for you to start the second movie right where you leave off.
Disagree.
Because let me finish. When you have Luke like that on the cliff, you have to come back and finish that scene in the next movie, right?
No.
So you could. All right. Well, I think what they decided, and I like that they went that route, but also at the same time, it's hard then to do a time jump within the movie without somehow being like 1 year later, which would be weird for Star Wars. Not for a normal movie, but for Star Wars, I think it would be really weird to be like 1 year later or
But
2 years
Can't
later.
do that in the middle of the movie. The time jump should have been.
So I think that you can in Star Wars only because Force Awakens is our first time we even get a fucking flashback. So
you could have.
There's enough. The other thing you could do is instead of ending Force Awakens on that scene, you can imply that there's time between.
Wait, which was the flashback you're talking about?
Um,
the
Kid,
fourth
was the
vision
fourth
or
vision.
flashback?
I'm specifically talking about Rey's parents.
Yeah, you see the flashback in it.
You see the flashback of Rey's parents leaving.
Right, but
No,
wasn't
you
that
see the
through
flashback of the parents getting stabbed, right? Like you see the. Or
It's a vision.
No.
It's a
Yeah.
vision,
You-
not a
You see the
flashback.
parents
Oh,
deleted
you're
scene.
you're
No,
talking
you see
about
footage
Rise.
In Rise
Yeah,
of
in Rise,
Skywalker.
that's
I'm
a
talking about in
flashback.
Force Awakens when the ship's leaving.
Oh, that's a vision though.
Yeah,
that's a vision.
the
I
vision,
understand
right?
that's a vision.
But I think
But
in Rise of
even still, we
Skywalker,
don't
it's an
have-
explanation, and you see the footage.
Right, but we
Right.
don't even have that in any other Star
Well,
Wars movie.
here's what I'll say about it ending where you need to see the conclusion of it. You do need to because of what the Last Jedi story is. It's him throwing the saber and stuff like that. However, if that was not the story, when you could just assume like, okay, she shows up with his lightsaber. If the next movie was 3 years later, now they're on a master and apprentice mission on Andor, which is what I thought all that Canto Bite footage was. So your headcanon could come up with a reason we're like, yeah, we're going to jump right in. The first 20 minutes
No,
are going to
not-
be a master
you
and
don't-
apprentice. But here's what I'm saying is, because of the story, you did need to have no time jump and go right in because you couldn't do time jump later where she's like, yeah, 3 years ago I tried to give him the saber and he wasn't interested.
Do you mean Onderon or Terrace?
No, I think it looked like Onderon. Onderon
All right.
in the game,
My,
Onderon had a lot of the yellow
Yeah, the
brickwork
game
and
a
stuff.
little more in Onderon. Okay, I'm thinking of Clone Wars Onderon as well.
But so you could have done that.
My
'cause
controversial
we didn't put in the
idea-
crawl. I'm surprised they had a crawl for the Last Jedi. It's like, what happened in the last 5 seconds?
Well, here was
saw it.
Here was my controversial idea that
That's a good
I would
point.
have done for the Last Jedi is I would have started the movie out with a cold open. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, you cut to Rey handing Luke the lightsaber.
and then you time jump.
And
No,
then
I think I would've-
and then you have however that scene plays out. It'll probably play out a little differently than how Ryan did it. And then all of a sudden, Star Wars.
I would have aired that scene in Fortnite, actually.
There you go. Yeah, have a Fortnite
here's-
special.
here's-
Here's the other
okay.
thing.
The
I
dead
wish he did-
speak in Fortnite.
I know it's not a Last Jedi thing, but he threw it that way, right? If he just would have dropped it, Like if you would just cut to a shot of the saber dropping at his feet and then him walking off, but the way he just tosses it, like
I
in
think he
my
should've just,
audience,
like, gave it back
opening
to her.
night, it created a laughter. Like, and I don't think that should have been a laughing moment.
we talked. And that's
so.
I agree. I have the same. Well, there's absurdity there. That
I mean,
I'm
it's like
okay
a
with.
little Yoda-ism.
But
If he gave it to
Yeah,
her in
that-
Fortnite, then that would have been different.
So I want to say there's nothing to say that scene happens immediately, right? Because this is another problem with the sequels. The sequels play fast and loose with Lightspeed.
skipping, which I kind of like that.
I like
actually.
Lightspeed skipping.
Because they
That's
tie
fine.
into now hyperspace tracking is a thing.
But
Yeah.
but
They
like,
build on that.
Yeah.
with the time it takes to travel through Lightspeed is so much more instantaneous in the sequel trilogy than it ever is in any other Star Wars. Because in A New Hope, it's really the only time we talk about the time spent in Lightspeed in hyperspace.
Yeah.
But it's like we've got like 6 hours, bro. Like
Yeah, you don't even see hyperspace jumping in the prequels. They didn't even show you the stars,
So-
zoom,
Well, they
whatever.
show like
Yeah,
you
I
taking
hated it.
off,
But,
not
like- but
yeah,
inside.
You never
Like,
did
the,
the streak.
yeah.
the
stars.
easiest, I think the first in fixing the sequels, and I'm not saying like, oh, we need to reshoot the sequels, but I'm saying
Mike
like,
Zero said they were.
yeah,
Oh my
well,
God. Anyways,
the
yeah.
ghost of the ghost of Walt Disney just appeared to me in my dream and confirmed that Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, and fucking Joe Biden are gonna reshoot the movies, all of them.
Yeah, what a world.
All you have to do to fucking fix the problems of the timeline is you put a time gap not in Last Jedi but in Force Awakens between when Rey leaves planet
Dakar.
Thank you.
Shmoda.
Ilenium system.
Yeah, Selenium system.
When Rey leaves the Ilenium system and gets to Octo, you just need a time gap there.
Her hair's longer.
or
Right? Grow her
honestly,
hair out.
yeah, you could do
Such a big time gap. All the
you
birds
could
turn into ports.
have the start of The Last Jedi actually be the ending of The Force Awakens, and that leaves you with a question of like, wait, why did he toss the saber? And then you have
throws
Oh my god.
or whatever.
People would hate that.
But then you could do your
So
time
good.
jump. But then you could do your time jump between
Well,
Force
I-
Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Personally, I have a problem with the time jump once Rey's on the island.
Yeah, it's really
It's
weird.
it's odd to
It's
play
really
with.
weird. Yeah.
But
But they play with like time too. Like in Empire, apparently like Luke was on Dagobah for like weeks, if not months. And they don't really they don't really showcase that in these movies, like the time.
yeah, and that's the thing is the time in Empire is so nebulous.
That's,
you could
that's
just
I mean,
interpret it
I
any
mean,
way
they,
you
they
want.
and it's done really poorly again in this movie. Like off screen, Rey takes parts from Kylo Ren's TIE fighter and then integrates it into Luke's X-wing, and then like retrofits this and like puts this wing back on, and like how long that must have taken days.
Yeah, fucking Leia's
it was like
took it to
six-
Babu Frick. Bro.
It was
Leia's-
like 6 wires and a wayfinder. That's it.
Leia's-
That sounds like a band name.
All of a sudden, this X-wing's ready to fly. Like what? That thing was underwater for like 20 years.
Leia's CGI body has been sitting on that stone slab for weeks.
Oh god, no. I'm gonna touch on some of the stuff that I really do like about this
good.
movie, and it's like, look, well, first of all, just overall, I do have issues with how we get to certain parts in the movie, but when we get to those certain parts, I really dig how we get to Exegol or what happens at
I
these
think
places,
Exegol's
rather.
really cool.
Yeah, so I dig what ends up happening at these end result places, if you will. The on Pisana when Rey and Kylo are tackling the transport where you think Chewie's on there. I mean, that scene was cool as hell. Like where Rey is like,
I gasped.
Show of
swing
hands
down.
at the theater. Did you think, wow, they just killed Chewie that way?
I was like 75%.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
I was
God.
like, oh my god, they did it, because I figured that would be a huge plot thing. Also, they kill him off in the EU, so I'm just like, oh wow,
Yeah,
that, would be
that was a
crazy
better
choice.
way to go out than fucking crashing a moon into him.
There's no more baller way to die than have a moon crash on you. And in the text, it says that he's defiantly growling at space as it collides onto him. So you cannot beat that way. I die by that way.
Speaking of crashing moons into things, I remember, now that we mentioned Exegol, I remember who my favorite new character is introduced in this movie. It's Albrecht. The Sith alchemist.
Oh, the guy
the fucking chimpanzee.
Like, the helmet thing. Yeah, I kind of.
You got a chip. The fucking Palpatine. He's got a jar of Snokes. Yeah. A bunch of faceless dudes in robes.
Yeah.
And a monkey.
Yeah.
And that's his plan.
Yeah. Kylo Ren's like, all right, Palpatine, if I'm going to go kill this girl, I need to fix my mask.
I need your monkey to fix my mask.
We have a chimp for that.
Please see my chimpanzee. Have you by chance seen Planet of the Apes?
I dug the red glow at the parts where it was healed. That's actually from... man.
If I were to buy a high-end mask, I'd get the one from this movie.
Yeah. The one, with the glowing or whatever. Yeah. And it is taken on Chinese lore with artifacts and vases and stuff like that. They used to put them back together using gold and silver.
So you could see the cracks.
So you could see the cracks, and it's a reminder in their lore that nothing ever is truly broken.
See, I think it was cool. I think it was a callback to Dryden Voss.
Okay.
And his cracks.
Cracks in his face,
so you like X? You guys like Exegol?
Exegol's cool. I really love the idea that there's this Sith planet out there with a bunch of Sith loyalists. And Palpatine has the background had these people at his disposal the entire time. I do like that idea. I think it's interesting.
What were they eating there?
Yeah,
there's thousands of. What are they fucking doing there?
It's a whole planet. It's literally a whole planet full of people.
But it's not.
What people?
So
there was thousands of people in those bleachers.
That's the problem.
They built all those Star Destroyers.
They were watching
all the Sith
racing.
All the Sith.
Downtime.
All the Sith troopers
They were
in the
big tech
red
fans.
armor were the children of the people that lived there.
So
Exegol was cool in the Star Tours ride. I'll have to say.
I wish they explained any of this in the movie. That would have been great.
In the Star Tours ride, so you know how Lando says, "Hey, I'm going off. I'm going to make a call out to everybody and text all of his buddies and say, come out here for the more of us moment." In the Star Tours ride, which you just have to luck out and get it, and I lucked out the last time I ever went on the ride.
BYOB.
I got the Episode 9 roll of the dice, I guess is what you can say. And after the first part, which I think I forget what that part is, but you go into space, and all of a sudden you get a call, and it's Lando, making the call. He's like, "Hey, we're making a call out to everybody. You need to get over here." I know I'm Sly Sloan again.
No, that time you sounded like
a little more Lando.
Colt 45.
I was gonna say, sell me some beer.
But he makes the call out to everybody, and then you go to Exegol for the last part of the ride, which is cool. But it was cool that you get to see that's what the message was to everybody. It was a pretty compelling message. It made us all want to go. And
to get the whole context of this movie, I got to play Fortnite, and
I got to go on Star Tours.
Then you have to read Shadow of the Sith.
That's called cross promotion.
Then you have to read the book Shadow of the Sith that came out 2 years after.
Because
to know who Ochi of Bastoon is.
Imagine if there was a scene in this movie where it cuts to different people on different planets and they're all receiving Lando's message and they're debating.
Or they're all receiving fucking Palpatine's message that apparently he sent out.
That
we don't even hear. I know. It's so fucking
They could have
dumb.
done a reverse Order 66. That would have been a cool homage now that I think about it. Where they're getting the call out and then you see a montage of
and
the Ewoks getting it,
you're
people
right.
on Terrace,
and
people
he says,
on Coruscant,
hey,
everyone.
Execute Order 69. All right?
It would have been cool,
Nice.
I think, if there should have been a scene.
45.
There should have been a scene where Lando gives this message to the whole galaxy, and you cut from planet to planet, and people are debating, are we gonna go? And there's tension that actually builds up. Are people actually gonna show up? Because there's no built up, and so when it happens, you're like, this would be great if I was invested.
I like the.
I love that idea.
I like the shot of all the. Well, okay.
This is what I mean.
I love that they used the Star Wars theme for the first time ever.
I like what ends
movie.
up happening where all the ships show up. I was like, well, I don't really like how it happened.
So,
but I liked that it happened.
My biggest problem about this fucking movie is we've got the potential for one of the most badass, fucking balls to the wall starship battles ever in any fucking thing ever. Y'all see Serenity?
No.
And I mean the one with Nathan Fillion, not the one with the other guy. That ends with one of the greatest fucking starship battles. Just pure fucking chaos. So many ships on screen, and that's what this could have been. And you had and you know what else? You have all these cool ships that they pulled from fucking cartoons. All the ships from Resistance are in that final battle. You have the fucking Shadowcaster.
I forget what's his handle on
Ghost?
Twitter, but it was just like dissecting that.
It's
What was his?
is it Scout?
No, it was another. It was like Admiral something, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong about that too. But
Anyways,
yeah.
there's someone on Twitter that does a
Just pulled out
I follow him
everything. I was
too.
like, damn, that was awesome.
But like, you have so many really fucking cool ships from other Star Wars mediums included there. You've got the Shadowcaster, you've got the Ghost, you've got the fucking Outrider is fucking in there. We don't ever see them. Like,
They should all have moments.
they should all have moments. The thing that makes the other two great space battles in Star Wars, and I'm fleet battles.
This was done better in Rogue One.
This was done better in Rogue One, exactly, and in fucking Return.
Well, if you were going to take it out of the space battles, if you're just trying to look for everybody to get their due, a good example would be Endgame. Endgame, they had to juggle all of those heroes, and you had everybody have their moment. You had Ant-Man, Giant Man doing his thing. You had Black Panther doing his thing. Everybody had a little time with the gauntlet. I liked the moment, but like some people didn't like it. But like you had all the females like gather together and do that one charge and stuff like that.
I like it. It's just shoehorned, but yeah.
It felt shoehorned, but so I think that did a good job, and I think it would have been possible, like you said. It's like give Wedge his due, have amazing shot of like, can you imagine like that Luthen Riel battle where like he's flying around with the lasers and
Yeah.
so imagine if all of a sudden they just focused on the Ghost. Goosebumps. The Ghost for fucking 15 seconds, and the Ghost is just does like a cool maneuver, and then just and shoots like 8 ships in a row, saving Lando's ass. Like,
and I don't
thanks,
ever
Hera.
have to see. I don't ever have to see pilots.
Nope.
I don't have to have them communicate on comms, or if we do, we don't have to know who it is. Right? It's just a matter of like the thing you fail so hard at something that Star Wars invented. Right? Star Wars fucking wrote the code for these great starship battles, right? Granted, they're pulled from World War II, footage, right? But you wrote the code for these great starship battles, and we don't even have that. Even the way the fucking starship battle opens with the remainder of the Resistance fleet is even then still fucking overwhelming. The fucking Star Destroyers are just static. They're just there. Here's the other thing that I got an issue with. The Star Destroyers are literally the models from Rogue One, the Imperial 1 Star Destroyers from Rogue One, scaled up. Meaning the windows are like fucking just massive fucking windows.
They wanted to upgrade to their place to like Florida windows ceilings.
But the thing is, they're not even like the Star Destroyers in A New Hope and in Empire are different. It's Imperial 1 Star Destroyers in A New Hope and Imperial 2s in Empire and Jedi. They've changed models.
Well, I mean,
since then.
they had like 35 years to upscale those Star Destroyers.
But
add another one on top.
But you wouldn't just make the windows bigger. You would keep the windows the same size and scale up everything else.
No.
But they had
A lot of other contractors died.
Are
on
you
those
in
two
the
Death
theater?
Stars.
I just have an image of you in the theater, like they scaled those up.
windows are
freaking
huge. You're missing the point. The point is that this movie and these changes to this movie are so fucking rushed. They didn't even have time to make a new model for the Star Destroyer. They just took the badass model that was made for Rogue One, scaled it up, and strapped a gun to the bottom. Right? Because this was never the plan. This was never anyone's plan. This was just, what if there's Star Destroyers and they're all Death Stars?
Let's turn to a positive real quick. One thing I think they did nail, and I was very happy with, was the lightsaber duel on top of the Death Star wreckage. I thought that was fantastic, jumping through the water. And you actually, what I loved about it is you see that like Ben has gotten way stronger, and like you just see how tired Rey is getting, and Ben is just beating her down. Like he's gonna win that battle. And I think that's cool
Well,
with the way that Leia kind of intervenes with that.
I like his turn to the light.
What?
I like his turn to the light.
Yeah, and his turn to the light. If you notice
like how
too,
it's
when
handled.
Rey heals him, his scar from Force
Yeah,
Awakens
yeah.
disappears forever too. But yeah, I thought that lightsaber duel was great. And so we got some of those positives. Like
Maybe they
that.
could have stuck a Duel of the Fates in there.
I think they
Could have been awesome.
It played in one of the TV spots, and I got excited, and boy, was I
So-
let down.
They like to do that.
Yeah, they like to use Duel of Fates at the TV
Yeah,
spot.
we put Duel of the Fates back in the Kenobi fight
I
at the end
will-
that you haven't seen yet.
I was thinking
my
this
movie.
when I
told
was
me to wait.
watching this duel. I was like, I don't think Kylo was ever trying to kill Rey at any point. Maybe like very sparingly, but not like
He
He could have.
Yeah,
He just
exactly.
didn't. He chose not to.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
got-
That's what I'm saying.
he
Like
got a
this battle
crush.
ultimately proves that he was always just trying to turn her,
Yeah.
turn her, and then
At the end, it's very key that he not only does he not want to kill her, he's fucking playing with her.
yeah. Oh,
Until
Yeah,
he
yeah.
gets the
He's just
yes.
even doing a
Yeah, yeah,
twirl and and then his mom kind of just distracts him or whatnot.
I love that.
I'm raining on WoW.
I love that they both like Leia reaches him and he stops, and then but that is like in a similar way to Luke projecting himself, that the energy it took for Leia to do that killed her the same way
Yeah.
Luke
Well,
died from the Force
But
projection.
not in the cut, though. In the cut, she lives a little longer. In the twig cut, he actually does kill off Leia right after. He kills off Leia right after the Han Solo
No.
vision.
I think
I thought was
I think
interesting.
it's a little more like symbolic than that. I think like she died in that moment, but she didn't become one with the Force until her son also did. And I think
Sure.
there's like some poetry in that.
very
That's
nice.
very nice.
Now, I
maybe,
like the-
maybe
I
she
like-
brought him along.
Because I think
Musically-
when he turned to the light, it was almost like a part of her started to live within him, and that is what like kept him in the light in like some aspect. Not to like take away from his turn. Like that's
No,
not what I'm
but-
trying to do. But
No. And I like that. I like the good guy version of Ben's theme too, the Kylo Ren
Yeah.
theme, but it's like the good guy version,
Yeah.
which is just a little tweak of the notes. How you can do that. It's very
but
cool.
no, I and that's funny because going into this movie, I wanted Kylo to stay evil. I did not want him to get redeemed because I thought it was too predictable. But I will give them credit; they won me over. When this movie ended, I was like, I loved how they did it. Like I thought the execution was really well done. The only thing I don't like is after he turns good, the only thing he says in the whole movie is "ow,"
Ow. Yeah.
and then he doesn't say anything.
He doesn't
You're
say
right.
anything ever
At
again.
all.
He
You're
says
right.
ow.
There's no time to talk. There's no time.
But I
Yeah,
like
there's
that those
no- yeah.
naysayers are like, wow, like you can't redeem him. He killed Han Solo. It's like, but Anakin, who went into an elementary school and slaughtered all of those children, that's okay?
But the Force,
But kill
Skype
Han.
with the lightsaber, and he does a little Han
was
Solo
dope.
shrug.
It's good.
It's good.
I
The
wish
shot-
we would have gotten more of him with the saber against
Yeah.
the Knights of Ren.
It could have been a little extended.
And
yeah.
the shot of him and Rey both facing down Palpatine is awesome.
I remember seeing
and
a
the-
leaked image of that, and I was so bummed.
You
that
did?
I saw a leaked
Oh,
image.
man, that sucks.
I remember that leak.
and
Damn, I didn't wanna see
I was
that.
all for the Colin Trevorrow like turning the two split kyber crystals from the lightsaber into a double-bladed lightsaber, but I will say there is something to Kylo Ren holding that legacy saber at the end
Yeah.
of the movie because he wanted it for like
So
3 movies.
Okay, so he
and finally earns the right to hold it.
And you see him smile too. Which
Yeah.
is a very cool thing
I
before
wish-
he
He's got a
dies.
very nice smile.
I wish we cut 30 minutes from the beginning of this film and posted it on the end of this film, right? There's so because the ending of this film has so much potential, right? This whole film's got a ton of potential.
That's it. I was going to say the prevailing thing that I'm noticing here from all of us is, yeah, I liked how they did that. They could have really done that, like with your thing of the space battles. Like we all have like our opinions and how like we all have our wish lists, and they didn't check all of the boxes, right? And
I'm
the
not even
boxes that they did check maybe weren't even as pulled off as well as we would have liked. And I think that's just kind of the prevailing aspect of all of our opinions on this movie.
Yeah, I don't even want to bitch. Like everyone's gonna bitch about
doing it the whole episode.
Sure.
I feel like I like
But
this
what
movie
I mean-
more than the
but-
rest of
but
you
I don't-
guys, though.
But I
a
feel
little
like
bit.
we haven't like none of us have pulled apart the plot of this film, right? Like we've pulled apart the execution of it, but the plot is fine. There's things they could have done better, or a slight alteration would make better. I don't have any issue with Palpatine coming back.
Me neither.
I don't think that at all
It's
lessens.
actually Palpatine.
But just like give us more
Thank you.
time.
Palpatine.
You know, like I said, this movie should have been 30 minutes longer. It's like
Thank you for correcting
It's like
me.
Palpatine's back. Why? Who cares? oh, what was Snoke? I made him.
Yeah,
Don't ask any more questions.
They should have Returned of the King it. They should have Endgamed.
Raise your granddaughter? Well, actually, she's the daughter of my clone, but you can read about that later.
Yeah, I agree. They should have it's the last one. Who cares?
It's the
about
last
how many
Yeah, they should have
replays you're
Returned
gonna
of the
get
King
in
did.
the
That's what I've
theater.
been.
It's the last Skywalker saga, so they say. So like, give
You're
the
gonna-
Endgame.
Who
treatment.
cares about runtime? It is
gonna
the
get-
last part of a
Theaters
You're gonna
do
get
it.
the
part
rewatches
saga.
for the
Make this
last
thing
one.
3.5
Yes, you will.
hours long.
The way
gonna
it
watch
happened with
it.
Return
Who
of the
cares
King.
about runtime? Nobody cares.
Oh my god.
How many times can it play in a theater in the day? It doesn't
This is
matter.
a new guy.
This is I don't know.
I don't know who
showed
he
up
is.
Okay.
I love him.
In your
So
you
glad he's
hate,
on the
is this
podcast.
on the bottom of your list then?
Yeah, it is.
The very last movie.
But it still is. Even though I will say, like, it has grown on me.
Below
There is
Clone Wars?
stuff that I love. Clone Wars can be last. I was just doing live actions. Clone Wars.
I don't count Clone Wars because it's an episode of a TV series. It's not a movie.
I mean,
four episodes. But yeah, George
Sure,
Lucas is like, hey,
exactly.
let's throw it in the theater.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie I wanted to spend more time. Like, give me a little more. Don't just say I made Snoke. What does that mean? Like, did you like make
No,
him
they-
in a lab and then he's his own person?
they talk about it in the beginning of the movie.
And on Fortnite, they talk about it.
I know.
Or you actually like working his mouth like a puppet? Like what is it?
We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Does he just have his hand?
I want to know. I do think it would be cool.
And then
I don't know. I don't know. You tell me, Frank.
I think he wore Snoke like a Power Rangers Megazord.
Yeah.
I want to know. Can
yeah.
someone answer this, please?
Yeah, if you watch the movie, they talk about cloning and like dark side.
but that doesn't
magic.
answer it, though.
And well, I mean,
And why does Dominic Monaghan
right.
know about secrets only the Sith knew when 20 years ago no one even knew what a Jedi was anymore because they burned all the books that said Jedi were real because it's like a freaking Holocaust like metaphor.
Hey, Brandon, I am really proud how much you've grown as a person. I think your drug habit, though, is expensive. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
You want to buy some death sticks?
Yeah.
he's gonna go see Cocaine Bear after this,
Yeah.
probably.
I am the cocaine bear. Actually, what's his name? Brian Ward has a great shirt with an Ewok on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It says Spice Bear.
Spice Bear, yeah,
I
it's
like
great.
that. Go buy that. That's on sale today, I think, or yesterday. I don't know if it's still on sale when you're watching this, but TeePublic. Yeah, movie should have been 30 minutes longer for sure. And I wanted to say earlier, like the space battle or air battle in this movie, it's in the atmosphere, but like it is done better in Rogue One because it's the same principle. Like they all kind of show up to save the day, but there's actually a build up to it in Rogue One. You're like, are they gonna come? Are they not gonna come? What's gonna happen? And they do come, and it's like, oh yeah, all wings reporting in, let's go. And like they highlight like Blue Squadron, and they highlight the Hammerhead Corvette. That scene was sick. I didn't even know what that was going into the movie, but when I saw it, I loved it.
Those are actually from KOTOR.
KOTOR.
The Hammerheads are, yeah.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if we didn't mention Hux too.
Oh yeah,
Got to
I'm
There's
a
a
notice.
lot we haven't
spy.
really talked about.
I
but
would,
yeah.
So
I would say,
wasted
and
in
I
this
hate to,
film.
I hate to
Yeah, he was
keep
wasted.
comparing it to the other script, but Hux in the other script is obsessed with the Force and Jedi and collects lightsabers and literally, I don't know, like he's literally almost like on the obsessive scale, and he's like the main leader in the rebellion, or not the rebellion. He's still evil. He's not like a spy or anything. And in the Battle of Coruscant, when it starts turning against him, turning the tide against him, he takes Mace Windu's purple lightsaber. Yes, I think it was purple in the script, or maybe that was just a whatever. He takes his lightsaber
Was
and
it not purple in the movies?
No, I'm just saying I don't remember if the script took a liberty of that or if someone there was a comic adaptation.
I think
too
it
where
was
you could watch
blue in the
comic.
visual dictionary for the Phantom Menace.
He takes the saber and stabs himself like a samurai, kills himself with a
cool.
lightsaber. There's one of the production art is a wide shot of it with the Battle of Coruscant happening in the background. It's pretty sick. And here. I'm the spy, and then his so petulant reason of
They
why.
should've-
It's like, it's not because
Actually,
I want. It's not because I want.
I'm on board
I'm not,
with that.
I'm
reason.
not complaining about
They
it. I'm
should
not
have leaned
complimenting
into
it.
that reason, I was like, this
Frank, take this
reason
one home.
makes
Well,
the
what's the
most,
reason? Can we say it?
that he just wants Kylo to lose. He doesn't
Yes.
care about anything else.
He got
I
totally
get
demoted.
that.
Allegiant General
because
Pride has
in
more
the
power
very
than him
beginning,
now.
it's established that Hux has been at at odds with Kylo Ren between between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And so when he goes, I just want Kylo to lose, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You've been hating this dude for 2 movies.
That's what I was trying to say.
In the first 2 movies, Hux is like second in command in the First Order.
So the one thing to know about Hux,
and he gets treated like crap after Kylo Ren takes over.
Just trying to say that it was on brand for him. He was such a petulant child, and even in his delivery of the line, is like, I just want him to lose.
But I will say they should have leaned into it even harder. He should have came with them on the Falcon and spent the rest of the movie with the Resistance and have that like awkward humor of like this like odd couple thing going on.
There's enough fucking characters in this movie though.
Yeah, you needed to punk him out.
So
that would have been good.
Hux was his dad was the like head of stormtrooper training for the Empire. And
makes sense.
Didn't teach him how to shoot, apparently.
Well, Hux runs along with
Sloane.
With Ray Sloane when they jump into the unknown regions, and I think it's Phasma that kills Hux's dad.
Oh, really?
So young Hux, Armitage, has basically lived his whole life like being this military brat in the fucking unknown regions with the First Order, and then Kylo comes along. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Kylo's a fucking badass in the ranks. Yeah, of course he's gonna fucking hate Kylo. Like that actually makes like there's parts of this movie that are so good, so well executed.
Let's wrap this up by saying 3 things we loved about it.
I want to hear. Well, I want to hear. Frank. This is Frank's favorite Star Wars movie.
Not really. I do like it.
More than 3
I
things.
actually do like it a little bit better than Attack of the Clones. Because it does touch on...
You have it that high?
Well, you have to ask where I have the Attack of the Clones.
Well, you have Empire, so that means you have Empire Rise.
What do you think of Luke and Leia knowing for all 3 movies that Rey was a Palpatine the whole time?
I don't understand why it was a necessary thing.
Oh, yeah, me and Leia knew.
Yeah, I don't understand why it was a necessary thing for them
to know.
Because...
But I guess it makes sense because it would have made Luke look like a freaking idiot if for like 20 years he knows about Snoke and doesn't know that Palpatine's behind it. You know what I mean? He just thinks Snoke is this other guy. Like, of course he had to know. Otherwise, Luke is a moron.
No, because in Force Awakens, they mentioned Snoke as if
Snoke.
It was Snoke.
That's Leia that says it.
It's like because that's the vessel, right? It's like in season 6 of Lost when they refer to the man in back as Locke because he just looks like Locke, so it's just easier to do that.
But if Luke knew Snoke was fucking Palpatine,
deep cut.
He is gonna go ignite the green and fucking deal with Snoke, right?
Yeah, you would like to think so. Yes,
he's over it, man.
Yeah.
He just wants to eat big fish.
All right, three
hang
things,
out with little.
3 things we like about this movie,
except for Brandon because he doesn't got any.
No, I said I've got more than 3 things.
It's got Y-wings. Love me some Y-wings.
True.
Hey!
Babu
Frick very crudely CGI'd into that final shot, thanks to Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I hate that. That's so bad. I like Ochi of Bestoon.
Cool idea.
I like the concept of him.
Sith loyalist, Jedi hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Cool idea.
Cool idea, but I hate the character as he is. Because he kills.
Let's keep it positive here.
Yeah, we're
no. Good
Only
character that I hate, which is by design.
I get what you're
you know
saying. Okay,
like,
cool,
gotcha.
cool. I like the Rey training sequence at the beginning.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
It kind of clunky dialogue though. She's like, Leia, I keep trying, but I can't seem to communicate with the Jedi ancestors of the past. Something dumb like that.
Well, because they're
pretty clunky.
And it sets up the end of the movie where she can talk to all the Jedi.
But it had to be clunky because they only had so much dialogue to work with.
You mean Monk-clunky.
With Leia. Like so Rey had to do all the exposition because Leia only had like, hey, never underestimate a droid. We're like, that's not relevant.
Yeah. 3 things. I do like lightspeed skipping a lot.
Yeah,
I
cool.
thought it was very cool.
It's a great visual image.
Yeah,
and I like when Poe's like, turns out you can. Like I like that aspect. It's like very Han Solo like.
So I like the lightspeed skipping and how that built off the Last Jedi and all the lightspeed tracking. I also let's see what else. I mean, yeah, like I actually really like Rey healing. What was it, like that snake or whatever it was called?
Basilisk.
Basilisk?
No, that's from Harry Potter.
It's a Vexus snake.
Yeah,
Vexus.
Got him.
I wanted to say Vespid.
I like that aspect because it really demonstrates kind of Rey's character, and it's not it has nothing to. Even though she's a Palpatine, right? She doesn't know that at that point, but it's just like this is who you are, and like Ray or
But the
not,
snake
Luke
knew that she was a
basically
Slytherin,
conveys
so.
that to her. Like it doesn't matter where you come from, or even I think Leia says that, right? Leia,
Yeah.
Well, one of them.
Yeah.
She's a parcel tongue.
The third thing, I mean.
Oh, that's it?
No. I was trying to think of like which one do I want to say as my third thing. I do like I do like the no look shot by Ben Solo on Exegol.
Yeah.
Very very fun, very cool.
The
Yeah,
what?
Yeah.
The no look, the
shot
Han
When he's
Solo
running into
no-look
the
shot.
when he's
Oh,
running
yeah,
next
yeah.
up.
Yeah. I like
Very
that a
Han
lot.
Solo. I already said one. I like the lightsaber duel amidst the waves on a crashed Death Star. Although I don't know how any of that equipment would have been saved. Like
The TIE fighter.
Yeah,
You like
in
the,
such the shape that a dagger forms it to create the key to blah blah blah. That's
you like the Vader Kylo fight.
no. Yeah, that tricked me. I do. Are we talking about the twig cut? Because I like that. The Force Ghost at the end, and I like. No, I like the lightsaber duel on Kef Burr. I like the music. I think that the music was excellent. Aside from not having Duel of the Fates, I kind of agree with you on there. But I really like the music, and I'm going to say that I do like the entirety of returning to Octo or whatever, and having Luke kind of have his full circle where he's like, no, you know what, I was wrong. Like sometimes our masters aren't going to always be right, or they're gonna make mistakes. So
And don't forget having exactly 2 porks, no more, no less.
yeah, and so that
Master and an apprentice.
that was great. And his line about like facing our fears or whatever is the destiny of a Jedi. I thought was
Yeah,
like an
that was
epic
great.
Better in the
line. So,
trailer.
Music duel, and Luke.
Damn it, Brandon.
Can't say anything today.
Brandon, this is a new you. I love it.
I want to hear Brandon's 3.
Very passionate.
The end credits because it was over, and the trailer, which wasn't like the movie,
Good trailer.
and the popcorn I had the first time I saw it. Those are the only 3.
But the
good
second
things.
time, the popcorn was terrible.
yeah, because it was stale.
Wait, you kept the popcorn?
In our skit, he kept the popcorn for the second movie.
Brando.
Well, me and my girlfriend were like within 100 feet of each other, but didn't know it for like the first time. So,
That's not about the movie.
What?
we found out later that we were in the same vicinity.
I get it though. I loved Return of the Jedi Special Edition because I saw nipples that day. That's why my rank.
no.
I haven't posted my ranking.
There actually is a lot
informed
I
by
like
that.
about this movie.
You wouldn't know it, but he's about to try and prove you wrong.
Okay, so I like the light speed skipping,
like
with the
it. Act like you
hyperspace
feel it, too, like-
tracking.
Convince us.
I like that they built upon the Force Skype with the transference of physical objects. In The Last Jedi, we get a little bit of that when Kylo Ren wipes like the rainwater off of his
Yeah, that's
head.
true.
Or
Do you
where-
think? Are you sad that Vader's helmet perished on Kijimi when it exploded?
Yeah, I feel like Kylo Ren should have been more emotionally invested in that. Be like, oh, now I gotta lug this back up to the
Yeah.
freaking Star
That would have been
Destroyer."
funny if he's like, "Oh gosh."
He picks it up. Ugh,
Wait,
son of
it
a
ended
bitch.
up on Kijimi?
Yeah, it's on Kijimi.
Yeah, that's how he found out that she was in his
They're setting up
chambers.
They're setting up for.
I just thought he saw it. I didn't know they transferred over.
It transferred
Yeah,
over. It was on the
transferred
ground.
over.
So
That's
then
why I
when it
never-
They're
blows
setting
up,
up for episode 10.
some other simple. Is it?
But
There's a floating asteroid with the helmet still intact.
I
And the third thing,
okay. Well, I want to name more than 3 things. I'm just gonna keep firing them
You
off.
know what? Yeah, go ahead.
rapid fire.
So yeah, so that obviously got built up with the light transference to the lightsaber
You
and
said
all
that
that.
already. Next.
I liked obviously I already said I liked the Ben Solo turn to the
you
light.
said it
was
already.
Really well
Next.
done. I actually really liked the scene that he has with Han Solo, though we didn't really talk about.
We didn't really talk about that.
No.
No.
I've gone back and forth like should that have been Luke? Because I do say a gripe about the movie just to squeeze
Should
that
have
in
been
here.
Anakin.
To squeeze that in here. At the end of The Last Jedi, we get the "see you around, kid." Luke was full of shit.
By the way, in the Duel of the Fates script,
Oh.
Luke is haunting him the entire time.
Force Ghost Luke should have talked
I-
to Kylo Ren.
I want to add one. If Brandon's gonna do 7, sure. I'm glad that the Jedi that were included in the voices included Ahsoka and Kanan.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's huge. I think Kanan being there especially is a huge
Is it very clear? You can tell that it's him. Very
Yeah,
clear
it's
line.
a great
He
recognition.
got more spotlight than Ahsoka's voice, which I wish he kind of had a little.
No, I'm
more
okay with that.
spotlight.
I'm
Did they have like Ayla Sakura on there though? Too?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
What is she
They
They
saying?
had
have,
a couple.
and
and Adi Gallia.
Yeah, it's like when you're at like a cocktail party and like you
was there.
understand why everybody's
Well-
there, but then you lean over,
well,
you're
they
like,
had-
hey, why did
they had
why-
Adi Gallia,
oh,
who's
what?
only in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's not in any other movie.
Mace Windu. They have Mace Windu
he
for
has
some
like
reason.
2 or 3 lines. In there.
Yeah, I like that they are using the such a central TV character that isn't Ahsoka, because everyone fucking knows Ahsoka, but to me, Kanan is an important Jedi character.
I'm
for
not
me.
disagreeing with that. I just you had him as much time as you wanted to do those lines, so why not give her Ahsoka more
sure.
breathing?
I
room,
agree.
You know?
I
What
agree.
did you want? Hey, it's me, Ahsoka. Get
But
your head up, kid.
Also, I have an issue with Ahsoka almost
Such an
being.
Ahsoka stan. I love it.
I almost have an
am,
issue
I
with
am.
Ahsoka being there. Period, because she's not a Jedi.
That's remains to be determined.
Right. That's fine.
It's
but
complicated.
Spoiler alert.
I
She
do.
could turn back to the Order.
I
whichever
gave
one
a
it
huge
looks like.
fist pump in the movie theater when Palpatine said, "The dark side of the Force is a pathway
Oh,
to
yeah.
many abilities." I was like, "He said the thing."
Isn't that
Revenge of the Sith.
isn't that like it's the second time. It's low rent.
Nah, it's just as good this time. Just as good. Because
Didn't someone say that the proof is in this movie too, that it wasn't the lightning that affected Palpatine, because that's the way I say
No,
it.
dude,
Palpatine.
fucking stick to it, man. You don't need to.
I don't know. It's just my era, I guess. But because when he's reborn or whatever, he's not fully. He looks more like Sidious before
Yeah.
the
I don't
thing
know.
Because he's
So
regenerated from the
Yeah,
diet,
so I think
right?
it was
So-
going to your argument, or was it going against your argument? I forget about the Force lightning changing his face, or was it the dark side changing his face?
Oh yeah, I was. No, it wasn't changing his face.
yeah.
I mean, we do see the lightning peel the flesh off his face in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
He had a lot of lightning coming out of his fingies in this one.
Yeah, which was like
Almost
Reminded
too
me of
much.
the
that's
Dr.
like a
Manhattan
bit of a
scene.
stretch for me. The way he was just like mass lightning, like it was more almost kind of like an EMP because it didn't destroy the ships;
Hey,
it just
man.
disabled
The
them.
dyad, bro. He sucked that force right out of the.
Poe was like, man, my phone's not working. Like,
that one
I
shot
lost
of Ben
signal,
Solo's
guys.
hand climbing up is a pretty sick shot. I like Exegol a lot, like I said. There's something else.
is this how the Last Jedi episode was 2.5 hours? Because he just listed everything you
yeah.
liked.
Do you have a problem with Exegol riding with testicle?
No, I don't.
Oh my god!
I do.
What are we
I really,
even
What,
doing
what does
here?
that even mean?
I really enjoy
rhyme.
what this movie has to say about
No, you don't.
relationships with your parents and also found family.
I mean, yeah,
there's
found family aspect. I
Really
do
good. There's really good lines of Luke to Rey and Lando to Poe about found family that really resonated with me this
I
last
will
watch
speak
through.
of the Lando part, by the way, and I like
We
because I
had
like
each other.
Jaina
Good line.
when they look
Good line.
over, like, and he's like, "Hey, gold system," like, even though they're supposed to hint that is his daughter, but like we're so
So-
used to Lando hitting on anything
Yeah,
that moves that like when he leans over and he's like, "And where are you from?" She's like, "The gold system," and he's like,
It's
Well,
just because
what
of the
about
voice.
that?
It's just his voice.
Well,
It's just like,
okay.
He's
he
like saying
could
it
talk
all.
to his mother and he'd be like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, and by the way, the other thing on when he's like, make sure, like Han's body, I guess it's cold. It's been a couple years now, but he's just like, make sure you give Leia my love. Like, man, wait until it's fucking couple years.
and then Rey's like, you can give it to her yourself.
Oh,
Tell the
God.
princess I'm still single.
Yeah.
Tell the princess I'm finally over my droid
That's
X.
like if I were to die and then you run into Kaiser and then you say to Kaiser, hey, make sure you give Dasha my love.
No, hold
do
on.
like the fact-
Hold on.
I do like the fact-
Time out. Kaiser's gonna be the one telling us that.
Rey's response does make me laugh because she's like so clueless. She's like, you can give it to her yourself. I'm like, that dick? I'm like, what are you saying? Do you know what you're saying, Rey?
I was gonna say I do like the fact that they find Lando at a party, just like
course they
like totally Lando.
Well,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be
That's
fair,
great.
they
Wookiee
Lando,
stands out in a crowd. is a
Calrissian
good
Chronicles,
line.
and it would be like on like
Lando
chapter
does
10,000.
Lando does say that Rey sent him, or Leia sent him. Leia called him.
no, but still, he's at a party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you're right though. Yeah.
This is my kind of mission.
Yeah. You want me to go to a festival?
Was that before or after
Every
she
42
told
years, I get
Snap
laid
to
in the
have
desert.
a positive attitude?
That line is so bad. That line is so like forced in there too.
So what were you gonna say about Lando's daughter?
Oh, they've come out and said that's not Lando's daughter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. Haven't they gone back and forth on that?
They've gone back and forth on a lot of things, Brandon, because there's no plan. It's all right.
There was.
Say what you want about the fucking
There was
prequels.
not a plan, man.
Plan. It's all written out. Made sense.
If you don't like the prequels,
not.
there's a few continuity errors between the original trilogy and the prequels, right?
They fixed them. Special editions, baby.
No, there's still a bunch of issues.
Tatooine makes you old. We get it. It's like the beach that makes you old. But it's in space.
The age I give two shits about. But like Obi-Wan talking to Yoda as if Yoda's Qui-Gon in Empire. Was I any different than you when you trained me?
He mentored him
Sure,
after the fact.
right? You could stretch it and pull it and make it fit.
That's what I do.
And I do the same.
Are we still talking about Star Wars?
We're talking about Lando again.
Again.
Anyways, let's
Give Yoda my love.
My point is, this movie's fine. I don't think it's the finale any of us wanted. I think there's a lot of people who are going to be disappointed in our opinions on this. I think there's a lot of people that are
There
going to
should
agree
have been
with
a
our opinions on
montage of Rey fixing the X-wing like it's Fast and Furious.
this. I wanted
That'd be funny.
I just wanted the thing where like you see the dust cloud and you hear like hammering noises and you see her arm like coming out of the dust.
I think for
just
me,
really fast.
The other Star Wars movies, it's always consistent. Whenever I watch them, I'm like, oh, it's exactly how I felt this first time, or I really like it, or with these sequels, The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, both of them, I'm just hot and cold. Sometimes I watch it and I'm like, this is brilliant, I love it. Sometimes I watch it, I'm like, man, like some of it I don't agree with. So The Rise of Skywalker for me is the same thing. Like I remember the last time that I watched it fully, where I was really invested in it, and I was training for one of the Schmoedown matches. Like I really liked it. Like, and I'm not talking about the twig cut, like the regular cut. I was like, man, I enjoyed it. Like that's fantastic. And then there's other times where you watch it, and like you said, it's like yeah, it's all right, it's fine. So I think that I think that for me, The Force Awakens is not like that. The Force Awakens, every time I watch it, I love it. So
Love Force Awakens.
it was like kind of just from there. So.
Yeah,
I was fine.
Force Awakens is right below.
That's my
Attack
final
of the Clones
comment.
for me.
When Rey uses the Force to stop that transport midair as it was flying away, I gasped. I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, it was
Force Awakens
awesome.
for me is so good.
Another thing I
It's
liked.
right below Attack of the Clones for me.
I will say, I
Force
think
Awakens is really high for me.
my overall main critique about this movie is that, unlike when you look at Return of the Jedi, that was like gonna be it, right? That was the end of those movies.
I forgot.
And
Shit, I have to say one more thing. Keep going. I forgot about my biggest part about this movie.
and it was, look, we defeated the Empire, la di da da da. We're having a party, we're celebrating, and that's the end of that particular story. There's gonna be no more movies, and that's fine. They'll go off and do other adventures. The Rise of Skywalker, I think, to me personally, got too bogged down on trying to pay homage to the entire saga instead of being its own film, wrapping up this part of the trilogy the way that Return of the Jedi wrapped up its own trilogy, and in a sense, Revenge of the Sith, even though it explains the original trilogy. I think if it just stayed true to its trilogy, and you could still pay homage and pay respect to what came before, but it was so in your face about it that's the main critique I have about this movie, because otherwise I pretty much enjoy it, except for the parts of like how we got to the spots in this movie. I love the end spots of this movie, but how we got there was just like, yeah, it felt a little rushed. It could have been a little bit longer. I wish it was, considering it's the last one, and you could have took your time
Should have pushed it
filling
back
out
a
this
year.
movie just because you had Ryan's movie in the middle and JJ's tying up The Force Awakens with The Rise of Skywalker. That's what it feels like to me.
What's the Rise of Skywalker mean too?
That's
Nothing.
my other...
Absolutely nothing.
But the main thing that I forgot, and I don't want this to be any longer than it needs to be, and I know that some of you, maybe you guys could fix my headcanon, but the second they did the prequel or the sequels, I'm like, cool, wow, they're gonna have another threat, like that's crazy. But the second they brought Palpatine back, okay, the second they brought him back,
Don't cave to their pressure.
I think it's no pressure. I just want to say it right for this. the second that they brought him back, completely took away, in my opinion. I'm not saying that has to be for all of you guys, but it completely takes away the chosen one, Anakin coming back. He comes back from the dark to the light. Could I finish a sentence today? He comes back from the dark to the light and tosses him down the shaft, kills him, and like saves the galaxy in his last gallant moment. And so when the second you hear the dead speak in the crawl, it completely takes away, in my opinion, from Anakin's sacrifice. And who's the chosen one? Is it Rey? Because I think they said in interviews that it could be Rey, it could be Luke. You don't know.
Anakin in his when Rey's listening, he's like, restore balance of the Force as I did. So
there you go. That could help. That helps me a little, but it does take away a little bit of like, oh well, he came back anyway.
That's what I was gonna say too.
The only thing that helps me is like that. No, he saved Luke. His greatest. He was in the dark this whole time, and his last act of life before he dies was an act of love by saving his son. And so when you compartmentalize it and you keep it into that, that's fine. So it's not about bringing balance to the Force and killing Palpatine. It's about his final act saving his son, and that helps me. But it's like, oh, you just bring him back, and now it's like, oh, everything that Anakin's story was so perfect, and it could have existed like that, and you could have still had sequels with legacy characters and not brought back the Emperor, because that, I think, undermines Anakin's arc. And I know you're a big Anakin fan and prequel fan, so I'd like, if you could change my headcanon, that's fine. I'm not saying you're wrong or I'm right.
No, I think Anakin is the chosen one, and I think that line definitely helps. Like, bring balance to the Force, Rey, as I did. Like, I think Anakin did bring balance to the Force, and then I think the Force like remained in balance, like up until kind of this point where Palpatine's like about to come back into power, and then Rey has to kind of like.
Can it be another dark Force coming back into power?
There's
not
always,
the one that he ended.
There's always the fight against the dark side, bro.
So I will
Snoke.
something to maybe.
I made Snoke.
Maybe change, and I'm not going to be able to justify this because this is a fair contention to have. But something that might help justify it a little bit. I have two notes that I think of.
You fixed my headcanon for the Trade Federation theme, so I'm here.
There's two notes that I think of for this movie, right? So Anakin's bringing balance to the Force was a lot more about bringing balance to his own actions, right? He brought balance to his own actions because, as much as Palpatine was the Phantom Menace behind the rise of the Empire, right? It wouldn't have happened were it not for Vader turning to the dark side. So Return of the Jedi is about him balancing out his own actions. The other thing is that
correcting his wrongs, like, all right, it's my bad, I'm going to clean it up.
Which caused this imbalance of the Force. The Jedi are gone, the Sith are in power, right? The other thing is, just because the Force is balanced doesn't mean it's going to remain there, right? So this is just an example of that imbalance coming back. Nothing about the prophecy says that the balance will remain or stay true, right? However, my actual headcanon or justification, not even headcanon, I think that there's enough evidence in the text for this. And if you look at the use of prophecy in fiction and in our own myth, prophecy is flawed, and prophecy is also often wrong and often misinterpreted.
But it's less about the prophecy, and it's more about, I hate that Palpatine is there talking shit about Anakin now that Anakin's dead. Like, Anakin was his slave, right? Anakin was a slave to his actions, to the suit, but also in the comics and the cartoons and everything, he's a slave to this freaking emperor. And the fact that he could finally be the one to say, no, everybody's tried. Maul tried. Oppressed tried, right? Everybody tried. Yoda tried. Everybody failed. But the act of love and the act of Anakin coming back and being the one to take out the guy that literally ruined his life since he was a little boy, since he said, we'll be watching your career with great interest. It's less about the prophecy and more about, I just wish that Anakin had that final kill. But no, Palpatine literally 20 seconds later Force projects himself over to Exegol and is probably laughing with all of his cronies in the stands. Like, haha. And he even he talks shit in the movie and he was like, oh, like doesn't he say something about your grandfather, blah, blah, blah?
He says, and now I discard you or I toss you.
He says, "As I once fell, now falls the last Skywalker."
Yeah.
He doesn't. So he doesn't. Okay, I can't. For some reason, I
But
remember
he
him
He does
talking
say
shit
something.
about
Finish
Anakin.
what your grandfather
Yeah,
could.
and it's like, no, he shouldn't be around to
there's-
talk shit on Anakin. Anakin took care of him.
yeah.
Shit about Darth Vader, not Anakin.
But the fact of the matter,
I like
so the fact of the matter is,
Flip this table. I forgot about that whole thing.
Anakin does
I'm
in
back to
fact bring balance to the Force. And the other thing to remember is that
Yeah, make sure the subtitles are on so you could hear him say that.
Kylo,
okay.
Ray, Luke, and Leia are all in some way, shape, or form scions of Anakin, right? They are the next in line to Anakin's legacy. So
Is that the Rise of Skywalker then?
I personally think that the Rise of Skywalker is about.
It's a good porno name too. Let's be honest.
I personally think that the title is about the rise of Anakin's legacy, of the legacy of the Skywalkers, right? It's not about name, it's not about blood.
Why not call it Legacy of the Skywalker?
That's probably a better, or Legacy of the Force is probably a better title for this film.
I don't like that all 3 sequel trilogy movies start with the. It just looks kind of clunky on my Blu-ray show.
Is Revenge of the Sith the Revenge of the Sith or just Revenge,
Revenge of the
Is
Sith.
Phantom Menace just Phantom Menace?
The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then the.
Yeah.
Looks bad on my
Yeah.
Blu-ray show.
Like,
guys.
I think Legacy of the Force would be a better title for this film,
Just
personally.
scratch it off.
yeah.
Force Awakens.
Just Last Jedi.
Do you want me to, Kevin, do you want me to make you a new title card for this film? Legacy of the Force?
Drop the
I
it's
think
cleaner. If only Justin Timberlake was on set to save this movie.
That's pretty good, actually.
Oh, boy.
Two more things I liked.
Oh, brother.
Jedi Leia. I like that a lot. You mentioned her training.
Yeah.
Rey.
Yeah.
Her calling her
Very
master, really nice.
Already said that.
Yeah, I'm just adding. And then also, I like the idea of like how like the Sith have to use like a combination of the Force and technology. Like Palpatine, as he was bragging about in the prequels, he
Siths
does
are
know
tech bros,
he
man.
does know how to cheat death, but he has to do it in this way where he's like
Right.
attached to a bunch of like tubes in this giant crane, and his like fingers are like gnawed down to the bone.
Dark
and-
magic.
He's got a real bad habit of biting his nails.
Yeah, and I really like that the Jedi are kind of like one with nature, and the Sith use the Force and technology together to defy nature.
Deform.
They're
You
able
know?
to so the Jedi are able to
It's
transcend life and death, whereas the Sith are trying to cheat death.
Yeah. I think also the only other thing is you build for 2 movies that Rey is good with a staff and like double-sided. Like, come on, you got to give her that double-sided. Like, why? I don't understand. Like, take that aspect from the Duel of the Fates script. I know you're rewriting it, JJ.
I'm torn.
But give her the double-sided sided
I wasn't
lightsaber.
too perturbed about that
Her
aspect.
her
Why
light
not?
her lightsaber.
No, I'm not saying why not. I'm saying, but why not give her?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who cares?
Her lightsaber's cool though. I do like it. I do like that it's built from the parts of the staff.
Yeah.
I love the design of it. I actually do want. I want a Rey and a Leia lightsaber more than I want any other saber from the other from the movie.
Maybe
You do know sabers aren't real. They're
Yeah, but I could buy a toy.
Oh, no,
Oh, a
Disney,
toy saber.
Disney made one.
Maybe a fair compromise is she starts the movie with the yellow one, but then somehow Ben also does get the legacy saber, so
Yeah.
I get the best of both worlds.
She can get the legacy.
So-
Because I do like the fact that he gets it at the end after wanting it for
It's
3
like
movies.
I like that.
I think at this point we're going in circles. So am I wrong?
I know Brandon's got 7 more things.
So here's what I
Us
want.
in the podcast form a symbiotic circle. You must understand this.
So here's what I want to say. I want you guys to form a symbiotic circle with us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Find us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're not on Facebook, are we?
No.
You said symbiotic circle, not something else.
Guys, we have a podcast feed. Maybe you're already listening on the podcast
Guys, we have a
feed.
podcast.
We have a podcast. You could find us on podcatchers if you want. If you're already listening
real?
there, that's the term
Yeah.
of a that's the thing.
Podcatchers?
That's what you call like a podcast app.
Anyways.
Really?
If you're on one of those, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a review. That really helps us. So do the comments, so the likes. Tell your friends. Tell your grandma that we have a
Yeah.
podcast. I know she's a big Brandon Hanna fan.
What's up, Grandma?
I don't know after this episode.
It's one of I don't know. I think this is his
I
best
don't know.
episode. And yeah, hey,
Passionate.
that's it.
I let
That's
my
it.
passion consume me. I am the Sith.
Tune in on Thursday for our Mandalorian
Oh man.
episode 1 review. Spoiler alert, we loved it.
Yeah.
And I hope this ages great.
Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
Wait, this is
My
coming out
last
before
studio
that.
appearance too. Last episode.
Yeah,
Counting
this
it down.
will not last, but,
But, yeah.
yeah, last regular appearance.
Yes.
And maybe like 5 of you have made it to this point, so I'm gonna say one of us might be going to the premiere. Maybe.
Maybe.
There's your
I don't want to
tease.
jinx it.
Scoundrel. Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.